between you and you. Before we begin, I need you to do something. Put it down. Whatever you were just thinking about, the text you need to send, the thing you said earlier, the thing on your list tomorrow, it'll still be there when we're done. You can pick it all back up in 20 minutes. But for right now, you're off the clock. Close your eyes. Take one breath just to land. Nobody needs anything from you right now. This is your time. You have patterns. Everyone does. And if you're being honest, you probably already know what some of yours are. Maybe you always say yes when you mean no. Maybe you pick fights when you're actually scared. Maybe you go quiet when you're hurt instead of saying something. Maybe you over-explain yourself to people who didn't ask. Maybe you fall for the same type of person. Maybe you self-sabotage right when things start going well. Here's the thing about patterns. They're not random. Every single one of them made sense at some point. They were solutions to problems you had, usually problems you were too young or too overwhelmed to solve any other way. The kid who learned to stay quiet because speaking up got them yelled at. That kid developed a pattern of silence, and it worked. It kept them safe. The kid who learned to be funny because humor diffused tension at home. That kid developed a pattern of performing, and it worked too. The problem isn't the pattern. The problem is that you're still running software that was written for a situation you're no longer in. Today, we're not going to try to break any patterns. That might sound like a waste of time, but hear me out. Most people try to change a pattern before they've actually understood it. They jump straight to, I need to stop doing this, without asking, why did I start? And when you try to force a change without understanding the root, the pattern just shows up somewhere else. You stop overeating and start overworking. You stop people-pleasing at work and start people-pleasing in your relationship. Same software, different screen. So instead of fixing anything today, I just want you to notice. Think about the last week. Was there a moment where you reacted to something and later thought, why did I do that? Maybe you snapped at someone who didn't deserve it. Maybe you said you were fine when you clearly weren't. Maybe you avoided a conversation you knew you needed to have. Maybe you checked your phone 40 times in an hour because sitting still felt unbearable. Pick one. Whatever comes to mind first. Now, and this is the important part, I want you to look at that moment without judging yourself for it. That's harder than it sounds. Because the moment you look at a pattern, your brain wants to attach a story to it. I'm so weak. I always do this. What's wrong with me? That's not observation. That's prosecution. Observation sounds more like, I did that thing again. Interesting. I wonder what was happening right before it. So let's try that. The moment you just thought of, what was happening right before you reacted? Not the surface trigger. Go one layer underneath. If you snapped at someone, what were you feeling in the 10 seconds before you snapped? Were you overwhelmed, unheard, disrespected, scared? If you went quiet, what would you have said if it felt safe to say it? If you reached for your phone, what feeling were you trying to not feel? The layer underneath the reaction is almost always one of a few things: fear, shame, loneliness, or the feeling of not being enough. That's not a diagnosis. That's just being human. Everyone is running from one of those. The patterns are just the different routes we take. Here's what I want you to take from this. Your patterns are not evidence that you're broken. They're evidence that you survived something. You built a strategy for getting through a difficult situation, and it worked well enough to get you here. The fact that the strategy doesn't work perfectly anymore, that's not a failure. That's growth. You've outgrown the solution, which means you've outgrown the problem. You don't have to change anything today. But if you notice something just now, even one small, "Oh, that's why I do that," write it down. Not to fix it, not to make a plan, just to acknowledge that you saw it. Because the moment you see a pattern clearly, really see it, without flinching and without shame, it starts to lose its grip on you. Not because you forced it to, but because you're no longer running it on autopilot. Awareness doesn't fix everything, but nothing gets fixed without it. Take a breath. And give yourself some credit. You just looked at something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. For now, take one more breath and thank yourself for showing up.